Big Bad Beetleborgs explored. All of us have grown up watching bizarre 90s cartoons. Most of us have been Power Rangers addicts since we were little. Chances are you're familiar with Big Bad Beetleborgs as well. Coming from the same production houses as Saban and Toei, who produced Power Rangers, Beetleborgs was a regular show dominating the Fox Kids block on TV. Despite having similarities to its cousin show, Big Bad Beetleborgs had a unique concept itself, but sometimes it was kind of weird too. I mean, 3 children having powers to change into robot beetle soldiers is kind of whack. Why beetles? To answer this, we have got to get into the details of this 90s favorite show, so let's roll. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Expression, it means they're right on top of us.
What the television series is all about. Big Bad Beetleborgs is a remix of Juco B-Fighter and B-Fighter Kabuto, but meant for the American audience. The 2-season-long series was quite the curveball in the industry with its concept. The story of the show revolves around 3 kids, Andrew, Roland, and Josh, who were the biggest fans of the comic Beetleborgs. The trio is tricked by rich kids Trip and Van into going to Hillhurst, which is the most haunted place in town. The trio arrives at the mansion, and while there, they manage to free a friendly ghost named Flabber. The spirit decides to grant them one wish for freeing him from his prison. The kids obviously wish to become Beetleborgs, but as stories go, everything comes with a price. So, when the Beetleborgs become real, their enemies come alive too. Now our heroes are tasked with sending the Magnivore monsters back into the comics. Although in the 2nd season the kids defeat the Magnivores, they lose their powers to a new enemy, Nuxus and his crustaceans. Now with unique abilities, they become Beetleborgs Metallics. Like every other kids show, the comedic element is not surprising, but all the scenes filmed for the US add a much more hilarious appeal. The thing that works for the show is the hilariously named monsters that chase the heroes in a very Scooby-Doo way, like Count Fagula, Frankenbeans, and Mums. The show adds a lot of wacky humor to it. Many of the episodes focus on the house monsters' problems, like the fear of the house being torn down and other trivial things, which is the kind of humor that feels natural and doesn't feel too unhinged from the show. When you think about it, all the monsters in Charterville were the kids' fault because they wanted to be superheroes. But who can blame them? Anyone would like to be a superhero. The kids had their moments of glory. The main characters of the series are the 3 Beetleborgs, Andrew Drew McCormick, the Blue Stinger Beetleborg, and later the Chromium Gold Beetleborg in the 2nd season is the leader of the group. He has the ability of telekinesis, which allows him to activate an object by pointing his head towards it and nodding. He received many upgrades like the Mega Blue Beetleborg and Mega Spectra Chromium Gold Beetleborg. His armor was modeled after a Japanese rhinoceros beetle. The next one is Roland Williams, the Green Hunter Beetleborg, and later the Titanium Silver Beetleborg in the 2nd season. His family owns a local comic shop called Zoom Comics, where the trio hangs out often. He was granted the ability of super speed, which he could activate by snapping his fingers. He received an update called Mega Spectra Titanium Silver Beetleborg. His armor is modeled after a stag beetle. Last but not the least is Josephine Joe McCormick, the Red Striker Beetleborg, and later the Platinum Purple Beetleborg in the 2nd season. She is Drew's little sister. She was granted super strength ability, which she could activate by cracking her knuckles. She received an upgrade called Mega Spectra Platinum Purple Beetleborg. Her Red Striker armor was modeled after a flower beetle, and the Platinum Purple armor was modeled after a ladybug. Coming to the Hillhurst inhabitants, the first is Flabber. He is a phantasm who had been trapped inside a pipe organ and was set free by the kids. In return, he decided to grant them one wish, to become the Beetleborgs. He acts as a friend and advisor to the kids and helps them when they fight the Magnivores or the crustaceans. He is the head of the Hillhurst mansion and keeps the other monsters in check. He is said to be modeled after Elvis Presley. The next we have is Mums, who is a 5,000-year-old Egyptian mummy. He can unwrap his bandages to show his skeletal form underneath. He has 703 brothers and 1 sister. Frankenbeans, or Frankie, is a strange take on Frankenstein's monster. He was once kidnapped by the Magnivores. He can speak very little and primarily communicates by roaring or childlike sentences. His creator, Dr. Baron von Frankenbeans, was shown in a few episodes and was a crazy scientist. Count Fangula is a vampire, as you can guess from his name, and is loosely based on Count Dracula. He needs to keep his victim Kota at par because if not, a high-ranking vampire will come to evaluate him. The Pipets are a multicolored trio of ladies who live in the pipe organ and are Flabber's backup singers. Golem is a living stone statue monster and stays at Hillhurst Mansion. He doesn't really do much except being a statue. He seldom joins the other monsters of the house and takes part in their pranks. Wolfgang Wolfie Smith is a werewolf who is treated more like a family pet and sounds similar to Scooby-Doo. Only Count Fangula is capable of translating what Wolfie says. We also have the villains, the Magnivores, who are the first set of villains the kids face, who came alive from the Beetleborgs comics. Vexor is the leader of the Magnivores. He doesn't appear in all of the episodes. He seemed to have been defeated by the 3 Beetleborgs after Drew destroyed Shadowborg, but revived himself and grew a new body and face. Typhus is a chimera-like humanoid monster. He is the musclehead with a whale-like flat top with an extra mouth that he uses to eat food and other things. He sometimes wields a sword-like weapon. Noxic is an android with coils for hair and wears a lab coat-like outfit. He can control machinery and other things by removing his head and placing it onto the object he wants to control. He prefers to eat donuts all the time instead of doing his job. He also has a brother named Super Noxic. He sometimes wields an umbrella-like weapon. Jara is a female humanoid clad in red attire and a white mask. She cannot consume food or smile in the real world as the mouth on her mask does not open. She has a Russian accent. She sometimes wields a whip that releases destructive energy. Shadowborg is a black evil Beetleborg created by Vexor using DNA stolen from the Blue Stinger Beetleborg. He is made from the basic materials as a Blue Stinger and is also enhanced with some powers of the other Beetleborgs. His armor is modeled after a longicorn beetle. Using his Shadow Claw, he can cut through any substance on the planet. In the show's second season, the Beetleborgs face a new set of enemies. They are called the Crustaceans, and their leader is Nucus. He is a creation of Les Fortunes, the Triceratops-based overlord of the second dimension. He was brought to life by Vexor. Nucus soon set a plan to dispose of the Magnivores and take over as the new villains. Nucus destroyed the Beetleborgs' original armor and weapons. Horrorbell is the second in command of the Crustaceans and Nucus' right-hand woman. She can summon a face mask in battle. She wields 2 swords that resemble Mantis arms. Viller is the third in command of the Crustaceans and is a fish-based trident-toting fighter. Lester Les Fortunes is the black sheep of the Fortunes family, an older brother to Art. He was recruited by Nucus. He created all the crustacean monsters and their arsenal, that he never gets credit for it. The creator of the Beetleborg comics, Arthur Art Fortunes, often shows up repeatedly to help the kids. He collaborates with Flabber's Magic to bring a new arsenal to the kids. The show had a well-rounded cast who played their characters well and brought out the best in them. Billy Forrester played Flabber, the magical ghost. Wesley Barker starred as Drew McCormick, the leader of the Beetleborgs. Herbie Bays played Roland Williams, and Brittany Kornaszewski played Joe McCormick. The show even led to the launch of actual Beetleborgs comics. 3 issues were released that featured the big bad Beetleborgs and their adventures. A crossover comic was also published titled Power Rangers Turbo vs. Beetleborgs Metallics. This issue was a part of the 3 comics based on Power Rangers Turbo and was published in the short-lived Saban Powerhouse magazine. What went wrong with Big Bad Beetleborgs? The show's storyline was all over the place. It has too much going on in the first season, and there is no forward progression in the story. Even with a heavy focus on the house monsters, the show bounced around too much. We have the comic shop, a rapping grandma, Drew's love interest, Heather, and so much other stuff that the show doesn't focus on one thing, creating a huge, confusing mess. The show is titled Beetleborgs, but we see very little of them. In one video of kids visiting the set, they were more interested in meeting the house monsters than the Beetleborgs, so the audience pretty much didn't care about the main characters, which was a big problem. Beetleborgs happened to be trashing the Power Rangers' rating and was geared towards the 3rd season, but their plans got screwed over. Kabutak was more geared towards preschoolers featuring cutesy robots, which wouldn't work for Beetleborgs. So having run out of footage to adapt from B-Fighter and B-Fighter Kabuto, the series was forced to shut down without a satisfying ending. Big Bad Beetleborgs might seem wacky and all over the place, but the show's characters are pretty endearing, and it's fun to watch for the kids. Beetle powers might not seem remarkable to some people, but the show totally made them work and gave 3 kids the ability to achieve their dreams of being superheroes. The series' second season introduced even more fantastic villains and gave the heroes some daunting tasks to overcome, including some heavy action and some robot fights we all love. To this date, the show remains a 90s American tokusatsu classic. If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button and comment below about which other movie reviews you would want to watch. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.